Hello, folks. How are we doing? It's another episode of Conroy Talks, and this week, firstly, I just want to say apologies for the lateness, folks. The football ran over. I didn't realise at that time, and then I got in the car and there was roadworks. As you can tell, I have been at football. I've not just threw my head under the shower and then got a towel and ruffled my hair up. So apologies for the lateness, and thankfully my panel, they've been really nice and really considerate with it. So before we crack on, I'd just like to say, firstly, I'm joined by Keith tonight from the Daytrippers. Keith, thanks very much for coming on my channel. It's your debut on, mate, and I know I say this to a lot of people, but genuinely, mate, I think I've watched you in Daytrippers loads, so I'm actually buzzing you're on the channel. How are you? How are you getting on?
Yeah, look, thanks for having me on, Conroy. We've done some stuff together on the Daytrippers, and it's great to be on here with yourself and the lads as well. I love talking about football, I love talking about Liverpool. So yeah, I'm happy to do it when me missus allows it, So she's giving me the thumbs up tonight, so we're
No,
okay.
no, that's great. That's great. And Finn, I was just actually, Finn, before we crack on to you, you're the regular, and I've been speaking to Finn all day about what topics to choose tonight. So how are you getting on, Finn? How are you feeling, mate? You're on mute, man. You're on mute.
Well, that was a great start. Yeah, cheers for having me on, mate.
Lovely. It's nearly better. I've done that. I've done that plenty of times. Don't you worry, mate. Don't you worry.
Got two legends of the Liverpool scene with us, obviously Keith and LRB Ramz. So yeah, cheers for having me back on again, Conroy. And just want to say big up to everyone in the chat. Obviously, there's some staple people in here tonight: Bajan Pops, Demo, Jamie Phillips. We've got Chris. We've got Kevin. We have Kev O'Sullivan as well. So, so really good to see a lot of the main staples in the comment section as well. Please do smash a like. Subscribe button goes a long way for Conroy Talk. So, yeah, appreciate that if you could.
No, thanks very much, mate. And lastly, but definitely not least, and I've been saying him for a few weeks, I'll get him on the show, but for the past few weeks, I've not had a show. But Ramz is here today. And Ram, you are on mute, just so you know. So it's not ever Finn 2.0. How are you doing, mate? How are you feeling?
Nah, I'm very, very good. I think it's my debut on the show. So
yeah, you and Keith's debut. Apologies, I should have said that.
I'm very, very happy to be here, and let's ready to crack on with this show.
No, great, mate, great. So, guys, as it kind of said in the graphic today, I like to just do kind of random topics. It's maybe not some newsworthy and some just general stuff. As Keith said, just like to chat about it, never really comes up. So the first one today, kind of very vague topic, is standout players in this season so far. It doesn't necessarily need to be Premier League. I've chose Premier League, but it could be anybody and your standout teams. So kicking off, I'll go to Finn first and I'll do mine after, and then we'll just see how it goes. Finn, who's been your standout? So we'll start with player and then team. Who's been your standout player this season?
Player for me, I mean, it's a left field suggestion, but I think Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba, he started the season absolutely emphatically. Don't get me wrong, he's got a disciplinary issue. He's picked up 3 yellow cards in 6 games, and that needs addressing. Someone of that stature who carries that much weight around in the team. I think obviously Cristiano coming into Man United's fold has really kind of invigorated his role. I mean, he was playing left wing a lot of the season last year, and I think he's obviously dropped back now that they've got forward cover. And he started the season emphatically. He just took it into his stride. I think he got a hat-trick of assists in 1 game. I mean, United's results haven't really reflected his performances, but he really has standed out for me this season. I mean, otherwise, Mo Salah. Mo Salah for me is absolutely brilliant. He's just a 1-season wonder gone wrong, isn't he? It's just lovely to see him obviously replicate form season after season after season. I mean, I don't really know where we as Liverpool fans would be without him. So, yeah, Mo Salah's form has been incredible. In terms of a team, I'm going to keep it Premier League, and I've really admired the way that a few teams have played, but specifically West Ham. I did expect them to kind of drop off the face of the earth after last season. I wasn't expecting Moyes to carry the baton and continue this form into this season, but obviously it looks like he's done the trick. He's reinforced the squad. He was unable to get Jesse Lingard back on, but for me, West Ham have just carried on, and I was quite surprised. I did expect some sort of honeymoon period to be over there with the whole Moyes appointment and obviously consistency and performances, but it really does look like he's utilising a system there at West Ham now. And the 2 holding midfielders, Rice and Souček, that just sit in front of that defence. I mean, Kurt Zuma's been brought in, and that's really solidified them at the back. So I'm just really interested to see how West Ham will play for the rest of the season for me.
Yeah, it's a really good shout, to be honest, mate. I feel like I know in a lot of the also Liverpool fans and the Liverpool groups and chats, I think quite a few times I've always like went on transfer market and looked at Antonio and been like, why is no one looking into him? And there is a few reasons for that. I know the injury record that people continue to say, and I do realise it's a real thing. However, the more he keeps playing the way he's playing, I'm like, I think it's worth the risk, because I looked at it. I don't know if it's the same value it was, but I looked a couple of weeks ago, and I think it was his value was like 10 million. Now, I know you're not going to get him for that, but just because of his age, he's 30 now, I think, the contract length he's got left and his injury record. But I've got to be honest, see, when he's on it, I do think he's unplayable. Like, I think he's just ridiculous. He's so strong and he's rapid as well. And I just feel like there's a few, you talk about Lukaku can ragdoll defenders. I feel like Antonio is very, very good at that. And yeah, I think it's a great shout with West Ham. Finn, I was going to say that. I've not picked West Ham, but that's a very, very good shout. How about yourself, Keith? Who's been your standout player for the season?
Yeah, just to follow up on what Finner said, Paul Pogba is muck. He's back on the left wing, right? He's back on the left wing. He played there against Villa the other day, but in all seriousness, like that just shows Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, doesn't it? That they find something that works, and then he has to change it to make himself look like he knows what he's doing, and he's putting Paul Pogba on the left wing. And I don't know why he gets the idea that this works, because it doesn't. Do you know what I mean? If Paul
it works
Pogba
against some teams, though. But this is the thing; it's not like a standalone.
But they lose like so much, He's got 7 assists
because you can't just put someone at left mid. It's like see like Manchester City the other day against Chelsea. They played a formation that worked against Chelsea. So sometimes you look like a genius for doing it. But Keith, I think I saw a tweet and I really liked it. He said, people need to understand, it was a Gary Neville put a kind of formation out with Pogba in it, and someone went, he's not a DM, he's not a centre mid. You just need to let him. It was instead of CM, it was ROAM, just roam. Basically, that's what you do. And I actually think his ability, Pogba, is ridiculous. Like in the Euros, I've got to be honest, I've stopped challenging. I think ability, the guy is amazing. However, ability really isn't even half. You need to obviously it's half of it, but you need to really have so much more as well. And I don't, Keith Anfiners, see with Pogba, what do you think the main issue is? Do you think he's badly managed, or do you think it's down to himself that he can never, the way he plays the game?
He's definitely ill-disciplined. Of someone that's been playing that long, I mean, I think he's 28 now. He's played for some absolutely huge teams. He's played for United. He's played for Juventus. For me, at this age now, you need to show some sort of pedigree and a bit about you. I mean, Henderson took to the role of captaincy at our team at a much younger age.
Sorry, mate, I was killed that again. I thought that was like I had it on rewind there. That was class.
So, but Henderson demonstrated leadership qualities at a much younger age, and I feel like Pogba has let that slide into his late 20s now. And I feel like had he kind of adopted some sort of discipline and some sort of leadership role, it would have really, really benefited him. But open to interpretation completely.
He doesn't look like he wants to take the game by the scruff of the neck at all. Do you know what I mean? Like he's happy to. At Juventus, when he was in that team at Juve, he had Marchisio and Pirlo and Vidal doing all the work for him, and he had a free role, and he could sort of roam and do what he wanted, and he had no responsibility. Then he goes to Manchester United for 90 million or whatever it was at the time, 80 odd million. And the expectation was huge. And the reason he still gets abuse is because he never lived up to that price tag and that expectation. But if you look at him on, take Paul Pogba as a player, he's a wonderful passer of the ball and playmaker. But he needs other players to do all that legwork. Now, Manchester United will say they've got that in Fred and McTominay. But the problem with that is it's Fred and McTominay. They need better players to do that. If they had that, if they built their midfield around Paul Pogba, it would unleash him to do more. As it is, you're getting a good game out of him. He got 4 or 5 assists against Leeds, and people raved about that. And it turned out Leeds are bleeding brutal this year. So I think it takes the shine off the performance, But look, he's an excellent player, ability-wise, but I think mentally he sort of he doesn't really have it mentally. Even in the Euros there, before we move off on Pogba, France were playing Switzerland, wasn't it? And he scores the third goal.
He was ridiculous in for 20 minutes. He was unbelievable.
He spends 2 minutes celebrating. He does 3 or 4 different celebrations after the goal, and the lads are like, "Let's get this started again." And he's over there doing all this and doing all this. And next thing, Switzerland are back in and get 2 goals back. So there's something about him that switches off, and he doesn't have that mentality of an absolute winner. I know that he's won an awful lot in his career, but he doesn't have that killer attitude for me.
No, I agree with them sentiments as well.
I get what you're saying, Keith, as well. So what people might watch this is like Pogba has been very successful and he's won a lot. But the thing for me is like you can see that Pogba's probably got the best ability. Like on his day, the stuff he does. But then I look at like a De Bruyne, and it's like he's pushed everything to the absolute maximum to get it, and it's like it doesn't matter how you get there. It doesn't matter if it's natural talent. 'Cause that argument annoys me. It's what you're left with, and I think that's. The thing is, though, see that France game, that Switzerland game, Keith, I watched that 20 minutes and I just thought, I tried to criticise at times, but I got to be honest, I watched that and I thought, see if he could be consistent, he could be scary. Like, he actually could be scary. However, he's probably only ever going to do that as if he has to leave United.
Yeah.
But
at this stage,
I think if you look at his career when he's been successful, he had his hand held most of the time. Like I'm so happy Keith brought up the midfield that Juventus had, because that midfield was, without Pogba, it's still a world-class midfield.
Yeah.
Marquisio was people forget how good Marquisio was. That goal was against England. Remember in the England goal, but did he not score a goal in the? Am I getting mixed up for Italy when he got put out? He chipped the keeper. That might have been someone else, but I always thought he was a superb player.
I remember 2014 World Cup, he scored from like 25, 30 yards out from a corner. So he's been a tremendous player. Vidal is Vidal. We know how good the player is when he was at Juventus. He's nicknamed the Pitbull for a reason. Like, he would clean up for everyone else. And Pirlo's Pirlo. So I think Pogba has had this thing where he has had his hand held at Juventus. When he went to United, the quality wasn't there, and I think at times you ask him to step up, and he just doesn't do it. Like, it's one of the frustrating things, because when I watched him at France in 2016, he reminded me a lot of Gerrard. He really, really did, the quality that he had, and he's just been so underwhelming. He really, really has been underwhelming. His career, his potential, everything, it's been just underwhelming, to say the least.
And that was good chat and Pogba, guys. But I quite like how that went to that segue. But moving on, so Keith,
yes,
who was your player in the team of the season?
The easy choice is Salah. Salah has been amazing for Liverpool, and Liverpool have been the best team this season. It's boring to say when you're on a Liverpool dominated channel, but it's true. But if you look beyond that, I think you have to look at Brighton. Brighton have been excellent. You've just got a 95th minute equaliser there against Crystal Palace. Fair play to them. Graham Potter is an excellent coach, and he's been an excellent coach for a few years now. And people think he's just come out of nowhere, but if you follow a story about the things he was doing in Denmark, and that, I think it was Denmark.
Yeah, because it was Ostersunds. They got a result against. I know they got put out, but I think they either drew or they won at the Emirates.
They won against Arsenal.
Yeah,
so.
But when you read the stories of the things they do in training, like, he's not just going in. It's not throwing their jumpers down his goalpost and just whack a few balls around. Like, he's very much thinks outside the box, which not a lot of. I'm not having a go. I sort of am having a go. English coaches don't seem to think outside the box, and it takes maybe going and trying things outside of your comfort zone and going abroad to do these things. And I think Potter is an excellent example of a player who took a risk and went over and learned a lot. And Brighton have come in there, and I think they're an excellent team. You look at it, and you've got Shane Duffy, and you've Lewis Dunk, and you've Dan Bourne, and you've Adam Webster, you've Roger Sanchez. These are not household names or players that you would expect. If you look at some of the centre backs or defenders prices that are going to some of the other teams, these fellas are picking these lads up and they're turning them into a solid team. And it's just good to see. They've brought in players to suit the Premier League, and they're doing it maybe in a slightly different way than you'd expect with a lot of promoted teams. Now, I know they're up a couple of years, but they're still new to the Premier League spectrum. They're not there that long.
Yeah,
they
they
don't
still
have
took
much
a big change
experience.
with Houghton as well, Keith. Like, you know,
Yeah.
like a lot of people, it's funny, isn't it? I always find it funny. Like, see all those supporters who said at the time, are they going to come out and say, oh, I was completely wrong now? Because they probably should, because Brighton knew better. And at times that can fall flat on your face, with egg in your face. But I watched them last season, Keith, and I said, people like, oh, I know, they just stayed up. I was like, but then you've not watched them, because they were actually on quite a lot of early kickoffs for some reason. I don't know why, but occasionally they were. I watched them against United, and don't get me wrong, United just gave them so much space, but they hit the woodwork about 5 times, and that was when Fernandes scored the winner. And because they won.
Was that the penalty after full time?
After the game.
Yeah.
But see, because of that, Keith, the narrative changed, and no one really looked at how good Brighton were that day. And since then, I'll let you obviously carry on, Keith, but just the one I wanted to add to it was, I said this summer, I think Brighton need a striker, because they missed so many. I'm not one for XG, but even if you look at the stats, they missed so many chances last year. Graham Potter stuck with Mopai, and I think he scored tonight, and that's either his 4th or 5th goal this season, possibly his 4th. I mean, it is 4, Ram. So that just shows you as well. And it's like, and I think he also scored the winner against Burnley, or the equaliser against Burnley, and that's him scored the equaliser tonight as well. So you can tell he's put trust in players. So sorry, Keith, just to add to that, I just feel like you're spot on with Potter. The only thing that gets me sometimes is, I do agree with the English thing, but I do think sometimes you've got British managers, and I'd actually say Irish managers as well. You've got who maybe do break the mold and try different things, but because there's this narrative sometimes of British coaches or Irish coaches, that it's like, when Tottenham were looking at a manager, I know Potter wasn't going to leave, and I heard rumours that he'd turned them down, but for me, Potter's, like, he should be right at one of the top of the list. If you watch what he's done with not as good teams, I just think he's an outstanding coach.
Do you think that it's fair to suggest that what Graham Potter is now is what Eddie Howe was a few years ago?
I think that's a bit maybe harsh on Graham Potter, because I think he's much better than Eddie Howe. It's not a dig at Eddie Howe, but I think Eddie Howe was the hot young English manager, wasn't he? The hot young coach.
Keeping a team in for 5 seasons, I would actually go the other way. I'd say Potter. As much as I do like Potter, I think Eddie Howe. And I know people get to say the money spent, but even the money spent, that was not really the team. He had a championship team.
Us, in fairness.
Yeah, but he had a championship team at times, and he got a lot. You talk about, I'm not going to get into that debate, but like Adam Smith is a championship or a League One right back who spent 4 years in the Premier League. A Steve Cook, a Nathan Ake, probably could argue Ake, but even like there was do you know what I mean? I actually feel like that doesn't get looked as well. I actually would say Eddie Howe, in just my opinion, is still a wee bit higher, because I still felt like you could probably say right now Potter's better at tweaking it. We maybe talk about Leeds and now they're not tweaking it enough, but I always still felt that Bournemouth were still a little bit unlucky to go down, and I always thought they gave a good game. They beat quite a lot of big teams as well, but I still think they're both brilliant coaches. It's a really good point, Finners. But I do think it's a bit like the Howe thing, that there should be more respect for, if you can bring a Bournemouth or a Brighton and play great football and actually cause some upsets. It's just not the narrative, is it? It's like Tottenham are looking for a manager, and there's 8 foreign coaches that get ahead on the list, and it does annoy me sometimes. So I completely get what you're saying, Keith. You say like play a bit different. I've said this 100 times on Daytrippers, but that Tuchel documentary, and he used to cut the corners off, like the wide areas. So it's like, imagine like a pitch, you'd go cut it off, so they couldn't play out wide, so they'd have to do more in tight areas. So when they went into a full pitch in a game, they'd have more space. It's just stuff like that,
But they are the little things that you need to bring in, that the game progresses. And you see that the problem is a lot of clubs will panic and fall back to the Sam Allardyces and I was going to say David Moyes, but he's doing okay now, so we won't put him in there. But Alan Pardew and all these guys that have been there, done that, and you know what you're getting out of them. Never really good. Whereas Eddie Howe, maybe I am a bit unfair on him, but I just think Potter is a different one in that he seems to, as you said about Tuchel there, that he's looking at different things, different ways of doing things. And I think Potter does that now. I think if he was to go to a Spurs or something like that, I don't know if it'd work for him, because the impression I get, and I could be wrong, is he needs to be at a smaller club where he can do his thing and do it in his own sort of way. If he goes to Spurs, there's delusions of grandeur at Tottenham Hotspur where they think they're this huge club and they don't have the minerals to prove it. They don't have any silverware to back this narrative up. And I think the pressure that comes on, like I think Nuno's going to be under huge pressure there now that the fans are in that stadium and he's lost them
especially
games.
after yesterday.
I think he's going to be under big pressure there. And I just think when you go to a club like that, an expectation is high. Once it's not going well for you, and he went through a period last year, Potter, where it wasn't, they were questioning him at the start as well. I think he goes there and he gets a bit tarnished. Now, you can't blame a manager, for jumping at the big opportunity, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him going abroad to a bigger club. You know what I mean? Like,
it does seem very adaptable, Potter.
Yeah,
that's the difference between how I think Howe's very much Bournemouth, that area that he loves, whereas I definitely go to Den. You say, I think you're right. You mentioned earlier he went abroad to get his stripes. So no, I think the thing is as well. I think someone said you probably say Potter will stay there for a couple of years to see what he can actually do with Brighton, because at the moment, I'm not just saying it, they're playing some outstanding football. So really great shout, Keith. And is there anything else you wanted to add for the standouts?
Look, Brentford have been brilliant. Thomas Frank, another one, brilliant. But Ivan Toney and Mikel Antonio, for me, with Mo Salah, have been absolutely exceptional. The new teams come up to the Premier League, and Leeds last season. I'm a huge Bielsa fan. I absolutely adore Marcelo Bielsa, and I wasn't surprised at how they done last season, and I felt that they suffered like Liverpool. They suffered with not having a crowd. And I was interested to see how they'd go on this season, and it's not happening for them, to be honest. They're stinking the place out. But I just think Brentford have come up, and I've kept an eye on Brentford for a few years. They've been there or thereabouts with promotions, but they've adopted that the money ball and analytic approach, to how they've done things. And it was always interesting to see if it'd work out for them. But you look at them now, it's easy we done the Daytrippers last night and spoke about the game, and people were criticising and saying, is that giving too many flowers to Brentford? Brentford were excellent. And as a team, they've got guys in there, Janelt in midfield, who Hansi Flick is over having a look. And I know Hansi Flick was looking at the Chelsea game and just happened to stay.
I thought that as well, Keith. I thought that's a big compliment to that the player. It really is.
Who else is he looking at? Do you know what I mean? So they've got these players in there. They've Norgard, they've got Frank Onyeka, they've the two lads up
Rico
front.
Henry was really impressive.
Rico Henry,
right,
very quick.
Really
do you know what I mean? Like they've got this team now, this way of playing, and I think it's a good team. It's a good system, and I think Ivan Toney, he's top scorer in the championship last season. How will he adapt? It's always a question when they come up, and it seems to work out for a lot of players in the last few years that they've stepped up and been able to come into the Premier League and do the business. But Toney looks like one that's very interesting. Antonio, as well, as the years have touched on, lads, he's a weird player. He's an enigma, because I think he's about 31, 32 now. He played right back, he played right midfield, he's played everywhere. But he looks just like a battering ram centre forward. Like he should have been doing this for the last 15 years. And he's late to the party nearly. He is such a threat.
He started quite late, he did, yeah.
I think that's complemented by the fact that he made the move from Nottingham Forest over to West Ham. And I feel like now he got that break into a team where they had lack of identity. They were struggling for goals up front when Antonio was converted up into a striker as well. So I feel like it was all kind of circumstantial as to how it happened for Mikel Antonio. But you're dead on with the Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney, if you take a look at his career, it's a very, very strange career, because he actually started off in Newcastle's academy, played there for a while. Rated. Very, very highly rated. I think he got called up to the under-21s.
He was.
Yeah, so he was playing for the England under-21s, and then I think he just dropped down to League One and had to fight his way all the way back up through the divisions. And for me, I've got a lot of respect and admiration for a player of that ilk that does have to drop down and really work for it. So, and it's not very often that you see them succeed at the top level. I mean, Jamie Vardy's one key example of that, really.
Well, maybe that's a point that you said Toney, Antonio and Vardy are against the grain, because maybe our academy's working as well as they should, possibly not. They're maybe more money-making scheme a lot of time.
Which
hopefully
you
this
say
young
quite
couple
often.
well, I think the proof's in the pudding. Like, Trent
100%.
and Curtis Jones, and don't get me wrong, like this, I actually do think this crop we've got who've played recently are very good. I'm not saying they won't, but even like your Woodburn's going to Hearts and stuff like that. Like I see that 3 years ago, like 4 years. I see that happening a lot of the time, and it's like that's what they are. So it's I do think there's a mentality for someone like that who comes up that way because they're just a bit like, just fuck it. Do you know what I mean? Like, honestly, like Vardy's just like screaming at them, like, why am I going to give you any respect? Like, and I don't mean like as a human being, but just like, who are
On the
you?
pitch.
Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, but for some reason, it's like, I heard the interview with Vardy, it's like he still eats the same and drinks the same as he did when he was playing Sunday League. And I think people don't like that because they like to put it on a pedestal. And it's like, how many wingers in academies don't beat men anymore? They come back. And it's like, because you need to keep the ball. That in itself is quite annoying as well, because like, sometimes I do think academies drum too much, but as I say, like I think it's great to see Antonio and Vardy smashing it, and Vardy being in the 100 club is basically just a bit like, it's great. Like I think that achievement gets looked down a little bit. Like he literally came in really late and he scored over 100 Premier League goals. That's crazy. Like that's ridiculous, you know. So.
He's been an excellent player, Jamie Vardy. I know we're not really talking about him at the moment, but it's
but
worth mentioning. It's the proof that, you know, you're spot on there, Conroy. Too many people get wrote off too early, and he's come through and he's come into the Premier League in his late 20s, and he's just taken it by storm. I mean, he has to be. I'd say he'd have to be Leicester's greatest ever player, and you know they signed him for $1 million or something. And
you could argue he's the best signing ever in the sense of you get a free transfer, take away free transfers because that's kind of more the circumstances. But is that not the greatest purchase ever for like what it's worth in today's market? When Leicester signed it, people laughing at them for doing it. A lot of pundits seem to do that and never get pulled up for it. But anyway, they done that, and then it was like he scored 100 Premier League goals, £1 million. Won a Premier League title, won an FA Cup now. Broke Van Nistelrooy's record, you know, for the most consecutive. I do sometimes think because it was so popular when it happened, we kind of forget that's ridiculous. This guy was working part-time and then playing for what was the team? Was it Halifax? I always get mixed up. If anyone knows in the comments, the team
Fleetwood Town.
Fleetwood it was, yeah. Just honestly, I just think that'll be in Hollywood, that movie, 100%. That's ridiculous. I know it's but I don't know who got in Vardy, but Vardy, I just love that. It's just the Antonio thing as well. There's a really good interview with Antonio with BBC about how he actually got a few teams turned him down, and he ended up having, I think it may have been Wimbledon. I can't remember who it was who took a chance on him and played him right wing. But amazing story. Ram, to finish off, who's and thanks for that, Keith. Great shouts, mate. You actually had a few in mind. I'll finish with mine, and I'll just be saying that from Finners, that from Keith, and that from Ram because they've been amazing shouts. Ram, who's been your standout player and team of the season so far?
In terms of players, I want to start off with the Liverpool one. I'll say Kostas Tsimikas. I think Tsimikas has been very, very, very good this season, and I think after that performance from Robertson on Saturday night, he has to be very, very worried about his position now because Tsimikas is.
Or he'll just get dropped and fight for it. I mean, it's a normal thing. I think we put too much on this. Like I've said it before, it's like guy literally just got his 40th assist and that was his worst game. I think I'd said to Finners last week, I don't know why we panic. Like Tsimikas comes in, it's like if anything, Robbo's going to be raring to go. And I want the same energy for Trent though, and I think there was the same energy for Trent last year because we put Trent in a pedestal. And then when he has a shit game, it's like, chuck him away. And it's like, the only thing with Trent is you're not going to replace Trent. You're not going to find a playmaker.
But he's not travelling tomorrow, is he? He's not playing tomorrow. So, you know, I'd love a Tsimikas to be able to plug in there on the right-hand side, you know.
No, of course. But on that, Ram, I was going to say, sorry, mate, I'll let you go. I just feel like... I feel like the competitions, people are freaking out too much about it. I feel like Andy Robbo, genuinely, that was probably his worst game yesterday. He probably does need a bit of a break, and I'm not just saying that because I'm Scottish, because he has had a lot of games. But 40 assists in the Premier League, I think that gets unsung as much.
I have nothing against. I think Robbo, what he's done in the last 4 or 5 seasons, has been absolutely incredible. But Tsimikas is the first time
I've should start tomorrow, mate. Should start tomorrow.
Yeah, he's come in and performed well above the duty that's been told upon him. Like he's does the defensive work where he also provides a lot going forward. And how much do we best spend for him? 11 million? 10?
11 rising to 12 with add-ons. And
we were looking to buy Jamal Lewis for 18 mil.
Yeah.
Like,
that was English tax though, wasn't it?
Exactly. But that's the thing. Credit to the scouts, because they saw that this guy could be a useful asset for the team, and look what he's doing now. So yeah, I'll say Simicast for Liverpool, but it's good that he touched upon right back, because my standout player this season is a right back, and it's going to be Matty Cash from Aston Villa.
Oh, wasn't that outside the box like that, Ram?
Yeah,
what a time for that shout.
I think Conroy knows I speak about this guy a lot.
Yeah, actually, last season, see when we got battered 7-2, that's when I properly watched him, and that was a horrendous day, but I did think he was very good a couple of weeks or months later, not on that day. I really smashed the telly on that day. But I'm not
but on what he's done in the last couple of games, their worst performance, Aston Villa's worst performance this season was definitely Chelsea away, and he was the only player that was actually creating chances. If Ollie Watkins decides to take a shot from first time, it would have been a different story. Matty Cash has been, I think, obviously scored his first goal in the Premier League against Everton, and the game against Manchester United.
Some finish.
Exactly, some finish. Really, and against Manchester United, he caused apparently the best left back on form a load of problems. And I think Luke Shaw was a little bit thankful that he got taken off. I know people say he got an injury, but I think he was a little bit grateful that he got taken off, because he was getting skinned left, right, and centre, and it was difficult for him to sort of cover his runs. So yeah, my choice would be Matty Cash, and I said this. I'd love him to be at Liverpool as a backup to Trent, because his versatility in different positions is also a huge asset as well.
I read news that he was actually going to defect, change nationality to Poland.
Yeah, he is.
Which, that's smart. He's not going to get in front of Reece James, Kyle Walker, Trent. I mean, I'm not even putting Wan-Bissaka in that conversation. Trippier's ahead of Wan-Bissaka.
He'll be working with the best striker in the world, so it's up to him. Like, if he wants to play for Poland, he plays for Poland.
Fair.
Yeah, no, I think he's good. Like, and he was from
Forest.
He used to play for Forest. It was Forest. He was good there. Shout out to Demo Drew. How you doing, mate? Demo's always in the comments, top guy. On another note, Benzema's been excellent as well. Very good shout, mate. Benzema has been. I saw his stats. Has he got is it 8 goals already this season? And was it Barcelona had only scored 8 goals and he'd scored 8 goals or something like that? Yesterday, obviously they won 3-0 last night. But to be honest, guys, I thoroughly enjoyed that. I'll just recap mine very quickly, and then we can maybe do if you want any underperformers, because I know a few of you mentioned it before we came on. Quickly for me, I'd say my team's probably Brighton, just kind of repeating very much what Keith said. I think Keith covered really everything with it. Even Sanchez, the goalkeeper, that's such a good shout as well. Because when I first heard of Sanchez, I thought he was in his covering, because it was Matty Ryan at the time, and I know he left to go to Arsenal. And he just like quietly became everyone's fantasy goalkeeper in the last couple of weeks just because of that. It's just like Brighton are just superb. And on top of that, West Ham as well. West Ham, fair play to David Moyes. Like, you've got to give him credit. Like, you'd probably put him in there, the old guard of, I know it was Kev. I think Kev had the comment earlier, the old guard managers were getting phased out now. You know, the kind of Allardyce, the Pulis. Got to give a bit of credit to Moyes. Like, Moyes, I think, is good. That's his second spell at West Ham, and even his first spell, I thought he'd done quite well. I remember they beat Chelsea, and Arnautovic scored the winner. Then they sacked him, and then brought Pellegrini in. That worked out well. It wasn't going to work out well. You just knew that wasn't going to work out. And then he came back in again, and you can tell that they've said it's been a bit like, we made a mistake, you can get control again. And he's like, okay, well, I'm doing it my way. And then it's proven dividends. And someone said there, the Tottenham and Arsenal are the third and fourth biggest teams in London this season. Do you know what? I think West Ham will finish above both of them. I'll say that on my chest right now. But I think they've got consistency. They'll beat the teams they need to beat, and I think they'll beat a few top teams as well. So they're my two. My player, you said Salah. Salah's like I've said Salah's decision making has not been great this season. He's just been most well rounded I've ever seen him. Just seems everything he's doing is intelligent. It's smart. He's actually at times like, I'll let the ball do the work. He's not always, he does run a lot. I'm not disputing that. But I just feel like, to me, he seems to be just picking up little quirks here that's improving his game. And I think he's been superb.
He's covering for Trent and all, isn't he? When
Even
Trent
that
is
as well.
going forward, he's slotting in, which you'd never see from him, you know.
Against Leeds, when he done that 30-yard
changed.
dash, to cover him against Leeds, Keith, great point.
It's good that you touched upon his. I feel like Salah's game, there's something's changed. I've seen it in pre-season as well. I want to say is he's moved from like the Ronaldo mode to more of a Lewandowski mode, where he's now started to take up positions a lot deeper and wants to bring other players into the game, which he didn't used to do quite a lot of the time. It's mainly a cold-blooded finisher, which is good for us because it'll just provide more attacking potency against other teams, which is at the end of the day, it gets us points at the end of the day. So yeah, it's great to see this.
No, he's been superb, mate. He's been absolutely brilliant. That's the dog snoring in the background. So apologies, folks. That's him comfy. I would say, so player for me, Salah, or actually just to add one we've not spoke about, we mentioned Antonio, I'd say Bissouma. I think Bissouma's superb. Not to make it a Liverpool chat, but I want Liverpool to sign him so much. I think the guy is just, wow. Just like, honestly, this guy is... Any top team should be looking at Bissouma. Like it's not even difficult. It's not even, you don't even have to know football to know he's just quality. And I'll continue to watch him this season. But
I know it's going to be off topic, but would you take him over Frankie de Jong?
The thing is, for us, I would. I really like Frankie de Jong. However, I think he's a superb player. I remember watching him against the Nations League against England, and he's just a wee guy, but he just made that midfield look like they didn't have a clue. They couldn't get the ball off him. But for our midfield, I think Bissouma suits better because he's got the passing ability, but he's very much he would fit into the kind of.
He's robust as well, isn't he?
Robust, Wijnaldum type of, and I feel like his passing and shooting's pretty decent as well. So for us, but I do like Frankie de Jong. I think he's a superb player.
I think Frankie be better. I think Frankie be better.
I would
really.
Yeah.
I'm just in my head.
If he didn't earn 400k a week, but
I'm thinking a Genie replacement. Oh no, don't get me wrong, it's tough. But I'm just thinking for us in the top. But I think Frankie de Jong's class, so I'm not disputing that.
I think Frankie's generational for me. I think he is
picked the wrong club then, didn't he?
Yeah, he really did.
Yeah.
He really did.
I think in terms of the two players we just mentioned, obviously, I like to use this label, right? And it's called FSG approved. And I don't think Frankie de Jong is FSG approved for the value that he's at. And to be fair, he made a massive move to Barcelona for such a young guy. I do foresee that he'll probably stay there, providing that their financial difficulties don't worsen. If they can bring in a bit of financial backing. But Yves Bissouma, I think 40 million is probably be about half the price of Frankie de Jong. And
I'm just hoping Barcelona don't get into Europe then.
I will say one thing about Yves Bissouma, though. Yves Bissouma really cheesed me off the other day. I saw an interview with him, and apparently they asked him who's his favourite player in the Premier League, or who the best player in the Premier League was or whatnot. And he came out and said it was himself, and it really made me feel sick. I was like, I get that you're on a bit of top-notch form and whatnot, but you can't come out and say that.
Did you not like that a little bit, though?
Not really, because...
To get to the top of the game, you probably need to have that mentality.
You do have to have that mentality. But I mean, for me, especially in the last year, someone like a Van Dijk or the year before, his ego has gone way beyond what
was it tongue-in-cheek, Finners, or was it like...
Nah, I don't think it was. I genuinely think he is under the impression that in the Premier League, no one.
I mean, he has started quite well, to be fair, mate.
Yeah, I mean that's good. I mean, if that's how you motivate yourself to get results and obviously develop yourself, then I agree. That's fine. That's cool. But to say that
it's very Ricky Gervais, it's very Alan Partridge.
It is. But you're wearing a Brighton and Hove Albion t-shirt, so it's a techie one. It's a techie one. But
I'll need to check that interview out. Sorry, we'll just get on. I know you can leave soon, Finn. So I'll just get on to you for your underperformance quickly.
Underperformance.
Just 2 seconds. I was just going to say, shout out to Demo Raya yesterday for Brentford, or this season in general. His distribution and reflexes and commanded the box was immense. I actually saw him in the Arsenal game as well, and he made a great save with Pepe in the Arsenal game. I thought it was a great save.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen him.
He's a very good keeper.
I've seen him in the Championship. I was like, when he saved that drop from Jota, I was like, I'm not really that surprised. He's been doing it in the
Yeah, he's
Championship. I'm not
completely-
He's that
surprised.
type of keeper, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
He's
they
one to
picked
keep
him
an
up
eye
off
on. Like,
Blackburn, didn't they?
yeah, he's one to
Yeah.
keep an eye on. He's very impressive. Just even the commanding part and the distribution, he just didn't look like he had weaknesses when I've watched him so far. It's still early, but I've been very impressed.
he reminds me of Pepe Reina a lot. He really does.
You know, you
Well,
literally took the words out of my mouth, Ramz.
Very
Honestly,
good.
like having watched him, the way he is and everything, completely like the
Yeah.
character type and everything. Honestly, literally stole the words from my mouth there.
Very good comparison. Just to shout out Mark A. saying Norgard's done well this season. Brentford as
Been
well. Good
excellent.
shout, mate.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And there's a few comments in there as well. Bejan, just quickly do that before we get next. Says Delit moved early, insane wages. Yeah, the wages is really good as well, because the problem is, right, you might look, that's an amazing move for my family, which is probably what you should firstly, but where do you go from there? You know what I mean? A team's maybe not going to double it, so it's a bit like,
Let's see how
pay
you're
the
confident.
same.
Don't worry, Virgil can sweet talk him. It's all good.
We'll get onto that. But just, Finn, I'll let you crack on because I know you've got ahead soon. Have you got
Yeah.
underperformer so far this
So
season?
I've actually got two underperformers. First one, it's not going to come as much of a surprise to the panel, but it's Tim Krul. Tim Krul for me is a washed-up Premier League goalkeeper. He should not be in this league anymore. And look, I'm as sentimental as the next man. Being a Liverpool fan, I've had to be. Do you know what I mean? But with Tim Krul, I remember distinctly about 8 seasons ago, he was facing a penalty and he got stung on the net by a wasp or a bee or something. And Match of the Day literally put a circle around it and they followed it. And I will never forget that he saved that penalty and then they just pushed out the box and it was just emphatic. I love goalkeeper things like that, but for where he is at present day, I'm sorry, he just doesn't cut the mustard for me. And the other one is Firpo. He arrived at Leeds from Barcelona for
What a
20
shout.
million.
What a good shout that is.
20
What a
million.
good
He's played
shout.
5 games. He scored an own goal. He's contributed little to nothing. And this is maybe where Leeds recruitment has gone absolutely terrifyingly wrong this season. They've invested with big money. I mean, Dan James for near to 30 million is absolutely ridiculous.
I still think that'll work out for them though with Dan James.
Think
Well,
there's
you have
possible,
Jack
yeah.
Harrison. They're flipping him and Harrison, and it's.
Yeah,
I like Jack Harrison.
Harrison
but-
usually plays on the left though, doesn't he? I know for me, James, I thought would get operated on the right. I maybe think they'll be looking to offload Rafinha eventually, and maybe that's the thinking. But
I think that could be it. Yeah, engineering some sort of replacement, bedding him into the Bielsa
I just
system.
think with Bielsa, Keith, I know you love Bielsa. Do you see the Dan James thing? Do you understand why he wants him? Like,
Well, they wanted him before he went to Manchester United, didn't they?
had the shirt and everything, had the shirt.
Yeah, they had the deal done, didn't they? And it fell through or whatever. But I can understand the Dan James thing, but when you're paying 30 million or close to 30 million on a player like that, I think it's a big risk. And as Finners has said there, Junior Firpo, if they'd have signed Junior Firpo from Betis, maybe okay. They've signed a busted flush from Barcelona, and he's looking like a player that's got no confidence. And Leeds need players to have confidence because they've moved. They had to play Dallas there last season, didn't they? At the end of the season, he was an excellent utility player, but they're having to move too many pieces around now, and I think that's why they're suffering. And I think Firpo is an excellent shout because he's one that, while he is a good player, he's not the right player at the right time for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he could develop in the sense of, do you know, it's reminding me of this signing last year, which I knew wouldn't develop, and I still don't think he will, is Nelson Semedo. Oh my God, I still can't get over that signing. I know I'm bringing out archive, but selling, as much as if you don't like Matt Doherty, fine, but in a Wolves team, in a back five, he was class. He was very good, great at that position. I'm not saying he will be at Tottenham, but he was, right? You spend 40 million in Nelson Semedo, who... Don't even think about what Alphonso Davies done. Just think about you're in Wolves. You need to be good at defending. You can't just come over, play for a team who dominates the ball. You're going to get challenged. You need to have a bit about you defensively. I'm not saying you need to be out of this world, but that it just feels like that type of signing to me. There's just no thought into it. It just sounds like a good signing. And that, to be fair, it leads. He might work out, but it does have a feel of Nelson Semedo for me, which I never got to ever talk about that in air, but that pissed me right off. I just thought that was the most stupid bit of business, like selling Doherty for 15 million and getting Nelson Semedo.
Yeah.
I've got a third shout, but I don't think we've seen enough of him yet. And it's another Barcelona standout. It's Emerson Royal. He's played a few games this season.
Maybe needs a wee bit more time, though, to be fair.
I'm more than willing to give him a few.
And
more
in fairness to him, he doesn't have the Barcelona stink off him because he never really done that.
He didn't, did he?
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Give him the benefit.
I've been very disappointed with what I've seen so far. I mean, he came on in the North London derby and he had very little impact. It was
how can you be worth this? How can you sign someone at this level? And it's just I watched him yesterday and he was like miscontrolling it, and I'm just like, I understand we've got emotions in that and we can get nervous, but I think sometimes it's a simple game for complicated people. Like they're going to sell Aurier, who I'd probably say I've not watched enough at Royal, but you look when Aurier was like, he was good at attack, he was a bit susceptible in defence. It was like, see, for once, why don't you just go for the solid in defence one and then who's reasonable? And even Reguilon looks like he got assist yesterday, but he looks absolutely off the boil as well. When he first came in, he looked amazing.
Player. Yeah.
And it's sorry if there's no interrupt, mate. So that's your free, and I know you want to leave in 2 minutes, so we'll get into the Champions League favourites ours. But who's your favourites to win the Champions League?
For the Champions League, I'm going to first of all, I'm going to discount PSG. I don't think Maurizio has got the the tactical prowess to take them to silverware. You could give them Manuel Neuer in goal. You could give them all of the most decorated players underneath Pochettino.
They've got them all.
Exactly.
They've got them
they
all.
They basically have them all. And I think it's a massive problem. Melting pot of egos, young talent. I mean, myself and Conroy, you guys might end up discussing that once I've left, but Messi, very strange how that's integrated into the system, and lack of game time, these bruised bones, these injuries and stuff. So I look forward to catching the stream up and seeing how that gets chopped up. But for me, the favourites were probably last year's winners. I don't fancy redemption from Man City at the shot at the title, because I just don't think they've recruited what they needed to recruit. And that was a Harry Kane or an out-and-out striker. I mean, myself and Conroy have said about how the transfer window and the activity of Ronaldo and Messi moving has jeopardized that slightly this season for them. And potentially, will they go back in January for some sort of clinical out-and-out striker? I mean, I've been pretty happy with what I've seen with Jesus so far. He's actually come up trumps better than I thought he would in the first few games. But I just don't think that... So... I just don't think they'll have it. So for me, it'll be Liverpool or Chelsea, I think. It'll be a cracking final with both of us get there as well. Really good final.
Stinker. Absolute stinker.
No, it's a good shout, mate. But I know you want to head soon. So thanks very much for coming on, mate. I appreciate it. And again, sorry for the delay. So thanks very much for coming on, mate.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be on with all of you boys, and look forward to the next one, basically. And cheers for everyone in the chat. Please do smash a like and drop a subscribe for Conroy as well. I'll always be promoting it, so because he always forgets.
No, I do always forget. I think the dog in the background might be promoting it for me soon. If he's having about three fits at the moment. But yeah, Finn, take care, mate, and thanks again for coming on.
Cheers again, gents.
Bye.
So, I was going to do this one comment. It was Demo Dre was saying, what was wrong with, is it Alioski? I think it's Alioski. Yeah. Did he actually go to Galatasaray?
I don't think he did.
Because there's a lot of what do you call it? There's a lot of animosity behind that.
I think he's gone to Qatar.
Right, because
Saudi Arabia, yeah.
Saudi Arabia.
Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia, which is a huge. Obviously, it's a money grab. You know, you're not going there. You're playing in the Premier League. You're linked with Galatasaray, and you end up in Saudi Arabia. I think it's a money grab. But he was a cult hero at Leeds, Alioski. But I think once he started talking and linking up with Galatasaray as a free agent, I think the Leeds fans ran him out of town because of the bad blood between Leeds and Galatasaray, obviously from when the fans were stabbed. But I think that dirtied his bib there, and I'd say they couldn't get rid of him quick enough. He was a good player, he was a solid player, left winger, attacking midfielder, and he got him in at left full doing the job.
I feel like someone's had a word to say if you don't go to Galatasaray and you go there, they're probably not going to be happy with you now, but it's not going to be the long run. Because
Yeah.
I think at the point it was like, I watched the interview and it was like, it was getting really hyped up for that. So I think maybe a few folk have had a quiet word to say, no, I don't. You know, if you move to this, you know, there, a year's time, be forgotten about. But if you made that move, I don't think you could have came in Leeds again. Because I wasn't aware of the history behind that with the Stabbins Keith, and I looked into it, I listened to a podcast about it. Horrendous. And it was, I don't know if he, in fairness, was aware of that at the time.
Yeah.
But
That's it, you know, and fans, when you're a fan of a club and you know the ins and outs and all these sort of intricacies of rivalries and things that have happened, the players don't know a lot of this. Players are transient. Players come in and come into a club and do their business for a few years and have one eye on their next move and all that. And they don't know what's happened in the past in a lot of these instances. And I'd say that's what happened there with him. And, you know, Leeds just weren't having any of that, the fans, and just told them in no uncertain terms.
No, it's yeah, there you go, and fair enough. So, listen, gents, thanks very much for coming on again, and we've kind of finished with that topic. Unless you want to add any more underperformers, do you think we covered it?
Uh,
I think you wanted to have a quick segment on a certain side who won the FA Cup last year.
Oh yeah. It's really just came back to my mind. Yeah, I was gonna talk about Leicester City. I've been hearing a lot of people talk about how, they didn't get into the Champions League last season, but they're gonna go again. They're gonna go and try and break that again. They signed Patson Daka, who people said Liverpool missed a trick. They should have signed him. I don't think he's played a game in the Premier League this season. Who else have they signed? They signed
Sumari,
Bukhari Sumari.
Ryan Bertrand.
They signed Vestergaard. I looked at their transfer business and thought they've done serious business.
It still could prove dividends. I just feel like
it's just the way the players are performing as well. Soyuncu looks a shadow of himself as he was in the last couple of seasons.
Looks like the Euros have done a number on him because he looked good in the Euros as well.
I think that humbling that he got against Italy really did a number. I think when Insigne and Berardi and Immobile were doing him left, right, and centre, I think his confidence absolutely shot, and I think he should. I don't know if he's played in the last couple of games, but he should get a run out of the team as well. And even going forward, James Maddison hasn't scored a goal, I think, in 18 games. Yeah. Harvey Barnes, I know he just came back from a serious injury, but he's not the same player that he was last season, who was just banging goals. And Vardy is getting a goal here and there, but he's a year older. He's a little bit slower as well. So I think they're going to really, really struggle this season.
Where do you think they'll finish, Ram? Where do you think they'll finish?
8th. I think West Ham will. Fill their spot as the team that's gonna go close, but not get there.
Yeah, West Ham will be 5th, 6th. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Fofana injury has really hit them hard. I think that's after really knocking them, because if you're going from a defence, and Liverpool actually seen it last season, like if you've got pace in your defence and all of a sudden your centre halves are Soyuncu and Vestergaard, it's a different sort of...
Yeah, because Evans only back on the bench at the weekend as well. Yeah.
I mean, exactly. that you're losing a player that you're losing the pace out of your defence, and Evans, Vestergaard and Soyuncu don't have pace. They're good players. Each of them are good players in their own way. I agree. Soyuncu looks like he's suffering now, but they're decent players. But it's an interesting one. Me and Gav have hammered Leicester and Brendan Rodgers on the Daytrippers for a couple of years now, because I think he bottles it. I just think in 2 years in a row he's had Leicester comfortable in Champions League contention and has missed out on the run-ins both times. Now, they've won an FA Cup, and the argument that Grizz on the show will always put to us is, but it's still good for Leicester. And their counter-argument is, that doesn't matter. Like, if you're winning a race and you come fourth in the race, you're not celebrating that, well, I wasn't expected to win it in any way. Do you know what I mean? And they seem to have that mentality about them, Leicester. I think Brendan Rodgers is a bit of he's a snake oil salesman a bit, you know, and I think he's one that he will have his eye. The more this struggle goes on, I think Brendan Rodgers has his eye on another job somewhere
bit
else.
like-
The first big job that comes
A
along.
bit like Celtic, where he smelt a load of rats, and smelt that something was brewing at Rangers, and he was like, "I'm going to get out of here before it gets bad, and my reputation gets bad." So I think he might go abroad. I think he really might. I think he might go.
Do you not think we're being a bit reactionary right now? It's just a bad start to the season.
No.
I think
he's,
like I said, we've been hammering this one for a couple of years. Like,
I think
he starts well usually and then struggles. So this will be different. This is a bad start. It's only 5-6 games in. Look, you're right, Conroy. It is a bit sort of reactionary at the time. But if you start off poorly, they do have decent players, but there's a lot of teams in that catchment now below the Liverpools. I think there's a top 4 are forming now, where you'd expect the title race with Liverpool, City, Chelsea, and Manchester United. And then you've got a little gap there, and you've got West Ham are now in that void, and you've got
what do you think about Villa?
Villa are an excellent team. Excellent. Dean Smith, brilliant. Brings in a set piece coach, doing great things there after losing.
Don't tell Danny Murphy.
Yeah, Jesus. But they're, Villa are a good team, and I think there's a lot of teams now that will be sort of sniffing around. Everton under Rafa, no one's mentioning them. They're 5th or something in the league, or 6th in the league. There's teams that will be there or thereabouts. And I think if you start off bad, you'll end up chasing that tail. Now, I think they'll finish top 10. But Arsenal look like they're making a bit of a fist of it now. Do you know what I mean? Spurs are terrible. Will they come back into it? I don't know. So there's a lot of teams that'll be sort of vying around that little sort of 5th to 10th grouping, and I just think Leicester need to get their shit in order, or they could be really up against it.
It's that old saying, like it is a bit off when it in context for this, but once bitten, twice shy, and it's never happened where someone's bottled it twice in a row. The way
he did win an FA Cup though, guys. That's a big achievement.
But Conroy, we still say this together. We should not have got into the Champions League. How many points were we behind them?
No, I agree, but like I think the estimations of supporting a Liverpool compared to a Leicester are very different. And I feel like if you'd said Leicester won the league and never won a trophy for 30 years, you'd probably say people would say that will happen. But that's not the case because of that. I'm not saying you aren't right. I just think I didn't see them beating Chelsea, I didn't see them winning an FA Cup, and I feel like that was probably quite a big achievement in Rodgers' career, to be honest.
Yeah,
I know.
If they weren't blowing the league at the same time, I think it would be.
It would be a great achievement.
That's the problem, It's the.
See, the thing is, see the United one. I was sympathetic when they lost to United because see if you actually watch the team they had to play in that last game, they had so many injuries. They had to get Luke Thomas, and like that really was.
Conroy.
Wes Morgan had to play in that game, but last season against Spurs, I agree. They
that was pathetic. I was so mad at them because Chelsea lost as well, and it was a little bit of a nice thing seeing Liverpool and Leicester get in and Chelsea not getting to the Champions League. But that performance last season, the last day, fighting for Champions League, you have an opportunity, and the way
Gareth Bale masterclass.
Oh my god!
But do you know what? I think with Leicester, they can turn that into a positive in the summer because they could win the cup. But because it started so bad, Keith, I think you're looking to that right now. See if it started well. That I know it sounds strange, but that probably does get forgotten about. You probably think, oh, we won the FA Cup, won the Community Shield, we're on a positive note. But when they got battered by West Ham, they just looked so toothless and inept, and just looked like they didn't have they just looked easy to beat, if you know what I mean, against West Ham. And
the only thing with them is they have Vardy, and he will score goals. And if you have a goal scorer, you've always got a chance.
I don't think, I think that's quite good, to be honest. I've discredited him, but he's really proved me wrong. And I do feel like he's a good signing to have because as Vardy's kind of age, and I feel like he is a good one. And see, Patson Daka, it's worth a gamble with Leicester, to be honest. The guy's not even had a chance. However, I do think like Sumari, I think that's a good signing and stuff. I do actually think their business would be good.
I thought they bought him because Ndidi was going to go.
Yeah.
I really did think Ndidi was. I was like, indeed he's going United.
And he didn't go.
He didn't go. And I was like, let's see how this pans out. But he's a great player. So am I, Lil. He was a very, very good player.
So just on that, before we move on, guys, quickly, because I know you mentioned that the Celtic thing when Rodgers left. I always think Rodgers looks for the next best opportunity. However, I would say I don't think there's a better opportunity for him than Leicester, in the sense of, like, what he'll have the facilities and the kind of transfer budget. I know they're set to buy, but in general, the owners will try to back as best they can with their model. Where do you think he would go, or could get a job?
Scotland.
He's not going to go back to Scotland. He's won like 3 treble. He never won 3 trebles, did he? Won 2 because
nah, he jacked it in. He should have been going for 3 treble trebles. The 3 treble.
Yeah, I know the treble.
Yeah.
I stay in Scotland. I heard that a lot. But my question would be: is Spurs like?
Traditionally, Spurs are a bigger club.
No, I agree.
If you're looking at the two of them now, that's what I was going to say.
Leicester, yeah.
The ownership of Leicester is much better and much more stable than what's at Spurs. And Spurs are the Nuno Espirito Santo went in there, and he was like their 5th or 6th choice of publicly announced managerial targets, and ones that have come out and said they rejected them. They got Nuno in there. There's something wrong there. They've no money. If you watched All or Nothing with Tottenham when they done that show and the coronavirus, the pandemic started, and Daniel Levy found out about it. And I know, look, everyone's worrying about this and that. All he was interested in was the financial hit that's going to cost him. And they were tied into the new stadium and all that. And I think they're up to their eyes in debt. Not getting rid of Harry Kane could be the worst decision in football this year. Was not selling him for 100 million, because he looks like he doesn't want to play for them anymore. And they've now got a striker who doesn't want to play, that can't be dropped. And I don't think his value will plummet, because I think the English tax will always keep, he's the England captain and all that. That will keep his price fairly high. But I can't see Man City rushing back to get him. I think that was the chance. And I don't know what they do now. I don't know what Harry Kane does. I don't know what Spurs does.
Like City, I've seen reports they already set their sights in Italy. They're looking at Vlahovic, Fiorentina. And like you said, I think it goes down to they've really messed up with the manager situation. I think when Harry Kane heard that Antonio Conte was in line to sign for Spurs, I think he was like, maybe there is a chance. Maybe there's one more opportunity to win a trophy. And then they end up getting, Espirito Santo. He was like, I can't do this anymore. And I think Spurs.
I'm not going to feel too sorry for him, Ram.
Yeah.
He's on a lot of money, and he's decided,
of a contract that he signed only last
season. That is also. I remember Roy Keane saying, "Well, he signed the contract. There's no gentleman's agreement. It never applies when it comes to contracts. It's his fault." So, yeah, that is true. That is true.
But on that, I think Jamie shout out to Jamie, said Rodgers to Spurs and Potter to Leicester, which that's not a bad shout, Jamie, to be honest, mate. It's got a good one. May happen. So if we see this in a year's time, you've got this right, mate, we'll get you a pint. Superb. We'll get it ordered. But on that, guys, I think we've covered a lot. It was really kind of good debate on that. And you think you go to Spurs? I think possibly. It's a good shout. I've got the agenda up here, and we've smashed the standards, star performers and underperformers of the season. What I kind of talk about, I've got Keith on specifically tonight, so I wanted to talk about, I think the first time I saw Keith's love for the magician that is Lionel was I was watching him in Daytrippers with him, Avi and Grizz, watching the Copa America, and we shared that love. And because it's the PSG City tomorrow night, I thought it was Wednesday, I just wanted to I'm going to have to start with Keith. What's your thoughts on the game tomorrow? I know we chatted a little bit about this a couple of last week, and just in general, do you think Messi will play, and how do you think it will go?
I don't know. He's easing his way in there at PSG. What I think is happening here is, look, I'm a Messi fanboy. I'll make no apologies about that. I think he's the greatest player that's ever played the game. I don't think there's ever been a player like him.
100%.
I'll never entertain a Ronaldo-Messi debate. I just don't think it makes any sense. I understand people prefer a certain type of player. I prefer the artist that's Messi. I think PSG are going to struggle this season because of their manager. Because I think Mauricio Pochettino, I don't know if he has that winning mentality that they'll need. Because let's be clear, PSG want the Champions League. The French League means nothing to them at the moment. And it's just as well because Pochettino couldn't get them that last season. They're there for the Champions League. I think he's going to hamper them this year. Now, how long is Messi going to be at PSG? I don't know. A couple of years, I'd say. And then he's going to look to go to the US, or he'll possibly look to go back to Argentina. I think they have a small window. And you look at it on paper, and you've got Mbappe, Neymar, and Messi. Look, that's outstanding. That has it all. They've got Angel Di Maria.
Football doesn't work in paper, though, is it? It's systems nowadays as well.
But that's it. But they've Angel Di Maria, who I think is one of the most underrated players in the world. Again, I'm an Argentina fanboy. I absolutely love Argentina and Argentinian football. Di Maria is one of the most underrated players in the world, and he's still there putting it about. They brought in Gini Wijnaldum. We know what Gini Wijnaldum can do. He's getting a lot of stick now at PSG because it takes a while to warm up to what Gini Wijnaldum does and to appreciate what Gini Wijnaldum does. And they're not seeing that. And they already have a few. Ander Herrera is already there, who's a bit of a nothing midfielder. Do you know what I mean? So they're probably looking at Gini thinking, this is much more of the same.
He's been good form, Herrera, to be fair, though. He's probably the best he's played in his career.
He's a decent player, Herrera, but he's one of these that... what is he? Do you know what I mean? Like he's not really a master of anything. He's a snidey little chat. I always liked that about him when he was at Manchester United. But I don't know. I think they've done too much. They brought in Donnarumma. He's not going to get a look in because Keylor Navas is going to play. They brought in Sergio Ramos. I don't know how much Sergio Ramos is going to play. Hakimi is the one that they've done that's going to be a huge difference maker for them. He's the one that's going to be in that team and is going to be devastating. But they still have holes. Do you know what I mean? I just don't know. They've signed all these globetrotters, and I don't know where you fit them all in.
Football doesn't work like that.
It's not FIFA.
It's not Ultimate Team, and it's just the problem is as well. I'm a wee bit more sympathetic towards Pochettino, Keith, because I do think that Pochettino could get a team together. Like he can play a system that works. However, it's different when you've got players that he's got. Who would you say would be the best manager for PSG with those players? Because I've seen some great managers fail at it because they just ill discipline is just a massive problem with PSG.
Yeah, it's a hard one because you can't get a disciplinarian because the players just won't react to that. Like I think Messi may to an extent, but Neymar maybe won't. Like Neymar has this thing where he gets injured or suspended every year for his sister's birthday so he can go back to Brazil and party it up with them. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know if a Mourinho was really into that sort of carry on. Do you know what I mean?
What about Ancelotti?
Ancelotti is the one that I think, and I know he was there already, but he's the one he's got a bit of steel, but he lets players have their life as well. Do you know what I mean? Like Conte he suffocates them. He's not going to work. He leaves places in a heap when he goes out of there. So he's not one. Klopp obviously is one, but they won't get him from us. It's a hard one to do because you've all these superstars and you know, do you just get someone in there that's more, as an Ancelotti who would be more of an elder statesman, will give them enough sort of discipline, but enough rope as well to let them go out and enjoy themselves? I don't know. Like, what do you do? Or do you hand the keys over to the players and say, look?
Zidane?
No, I don't think that's worked in the past. Yeah.
Not a bad shout.
See, the thing with Zidane, right, is I don't think Zidane would work in the sense of, I think the Madrid, it did work because the stuff was in place. You know, Ancelotti won it there. And a great manager, I'm not disputing that, obviously, won 3 Champions Leagues.
But he was the king there as well.
But the thing for me is, I don't know if Zidane could do that. For me, Manchester City have got great players, but they still play a system. They play a system they all work for and work. I just don't think you don't play that. Like, see if PSG won the Champions League because they just constant individual brilliance. Like, the law of averages is never going to work. Like, the first half against Manchester City in the semi-final, they smashed them, but then they were knackered second half because they didn't play a system that, like, Manchester City system just ended up they just ran the game, ran over them in the second half, and then they destroyed them at Etihad. I feel like City is the team that got great players who play a great system, and then the only way to beat them is like us or a Chelsea who can kind of disrupt that. Do you get what I mean? I just think like it doesn't matter how much magic Messi does. I just feel like it's when push comes to shove in a semi-final or a quarter-final, they're just not going to have not even the know-how. I just don't think tactically there'll just be too much space, and there's better managers and better teams who could be able to crucify them.
But that's why I don't know if it'll come down to the players just nearly doing it themselves, and it all depends on if they click. You know, if you come into the latter stages of the Champions League, we're after Christmas. You've got Messi who's settled in. Now, I think Messi has done very well going in there, and I think we spoke about this, Conroy, on the Daytrippers. I don't think he's stepping on any toes there. I think he's gone in there, and him and Neymar are great friends when they're at Barcelona. They had an excellent relationship with Suarez as well. I think he's going in there and he's more or less saying, look, this is your team. I'm in here to help you. And he's not looking to be, and look, this isn't to throw Cristiano Ronaldo under the bus, but Cristiano Ronaldo's going into Manchester United and he's getting the number 7 shirt, and he's making sure that the Cristiano Ronaldo show is here. Messi, I think, is going in there, and I think he's trying to not be the Billy Big Bollocks. Do you know what I mean? He's trying to go in there and he's trying to be
said that, it was really interesting perspective, because I spoke to you about that and I read it on the chat, and I was like, that's a really good way of thinking about it, because to me, like, I'm not going to get in the comparison, but people are like 3 games. He literally played for 20 minutes, right? He played in the Champions League, and then he had his home debut where he created 2 big chances and hit the post with a free kick. Like, you can tell he's not just like anonymous. He's playing well. But I do think it's funny, like, they get the penalty, Neymar takes the penalty. And I do think that's, as you say, because there's a respect there, they're friends, and it's a case of, that might work out better though, because I don't know if you watched it, but Neymar and Mbappe, I've never seen them press like that in their life.
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen them chase runners like that, ever. And I feel like maybe that's a good psychological way of thinking about it. It's like, because eventually, we both know, Keith, if everything happens and injuries, fine and that, because even in those games, he's getting the ball all the time. And when that starts to click, and when he starts to get them loads of assists, you know it'll click more. But defensively, PSG worry me, to be honest. Kimpembe, don't get me started. Oh my God, how has he got to that standard? I have no idea. Liability waiting to happen, honestly.
Wasn't he captain or vice captain of PSG as well?
He was,
and Rashford sent him back to the shops.
Yeah, he was.
But I do rate Marquinhos. I really do like.
Yeah, Marquinhos is excellent.
Superb.
And if they can get a partnership with Marquinhos and Sergio Ramos, they will be a tough team to break down. But it's all ifs, buts, and maybes, isn't it, at the moment? And Sergio Ramos isn't exactly young either. But look, it'll be interesting to see how that team sort of develops, because I think the Champions League this year, it's a strange one, because Real Madrid are okay, but they're not great. You know what I mean? Like,
Chelsea destroyed them in the semi-final. I thought they looked like men against boys.
They bet us well last season, but we all know we weren't ourselves in that. Do you know what I mean? Like, that wasn't the real Liverpool. So, and I know that's an easy excuse. Oh, we weren't ourselves, but it's true. Do you know what I mean? We weren't.
And we missed 2 sitters in the second leg. Salah missed 2 sitters at Anfield, which we score them. It puts pressure on them, but because we didn't, the game just kind of ebbed out at Anfield.
That period, everything was just again. I won't say everything was again. Just like everything wasn't normally us.
Yeah,
morale
you get tired of saying it, don't you? You get, because you said it all last season, but it is what it is.
Saying that Madrid played with a patched up team as well. Didn't Eder Militao came in and Nacho was playing there. You know, so
very good.
We can say we were going through. It wasn't just one night of injuries. It was a continuous. It was a build up of the problems we'd had.
Yeah,
going back to the loss of Van Dijk, and just they're all caught up on us at the wrong time. Yeah. But I don't think Real are a great team, and Barcelona are they're a shambles. They're the biggest shit show in the world.
Just for some context, if it wasn't for Marc-Andre ter Stegen, they wouldn't be anywhere near where they are. They'll be in the bottom half of La Liga.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, what's going on, and I know like the standard of players they had and the ones they have now, but Jesus, it's night and day. I've never seen a drop off of quality from a
No.
huge club like that in such a short period
Like
of
even
time.
in that defense, you think of Puyol,
Yeah.
and now they haven't got anyone anywhere near that quality.
Yeah.
It doesn't-
PK is the leader of the defense,
Yeah.
and PK's been a huge problem there for years, and he's still
he's
the leader
old.
of that
Yeah.
defense.
He's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
old as well.
But guys, we'll step on to Barca in 2 seconds. But just to kind of finish with the PSG Man City game, just for score predictions, how do you think that'll go tomorrow? Ram, what do you think the score will be tomorrow?
Is that Paris, isn't it?
Yeah. But I mean,
One,
City, I mean, 1-2-1 last year. I mean, just destroyed them in the second half. So
no fans. That has to be taken into account. Paris atmosphere is very, very intense. Like you can hear them go on and on and on and on and on. So I still say 1-1. Pochettino attacks.
what about yourself, Keith?
I think PSG win 3-1.
Oh.
If Messi
Where do you think?
plays.
Where do you think Messi will play? Do you think they'll just do him in the hole or the false nine?
I think they will play him from the right. I think they'll squeeze him sort of from the right hand side. I think he'll be, if he plays now, he is doubtful to play. So whether he comes back in or not, but I just think he will fit in there, and I think this could be the game he needs to not kickstart, because he's going to score goals. He's going to do the business at PSG, no doubt about it. But I just think Man City are a good team, and I think PSG will step up. This PSG have never, they stepped up at times, but then fell back down.
Spells, isn't it? Yeah, spells.
Yeah, and then let themselves down. But I just think this PSG, if they can get a win there, I think it'll be big. And I'm only putting it down to the fact that Messi is there. You know, if I'm looking at a team with a front line with Messi, Neymar, and Kylian Mbappe, well, I'm going with that over whatever Man City put out there, because they're good players. They don't have the Gabriel Jesus has done okay. Phil Foden has done okay. Ferran Torres has done okay. Raheem Sterling has done okay. They're more of a team, Man City. They're a settled team. And I'd always go with the team over the individuals, but I'll always go with Messi over everybody else. So I think if Messi win at PSG to get him on the roll.
Yeah.
Do you think a 4-2-3-1 would suit Messi, like in that sort of cam position, and having two?
The Argentina manager smashed it, I thought, in the Copa America. What's his name again? Is it Scaloni?
Scaloni, yeah, Lionel Scaloni.
See what he done is he put basically Messi just behind Martin, like a second striker role, just roam. And I'm not saying you can do that in a league or for a long period, but I thought it worked very well. But I don't know if they can do that with the front three they've got.
Yeah,
I mean they've got Icardi, but that is not a great shout.
No, Icardi's useful. Like you're chasing a game, you need a number 9.
The problem with that is who was Messi's idol growing up? Maxi Lopez.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah, Maxi
Who
Lopez,
did? Messi apparently got Icardi out of one of the Argentina squad in the World Cup. He got him bombed out. Didn't want them selected. So
I didn't know this.
There's an issue there now. Whether it's been resolved, like I said, Messi seems to have gone in there, and Sergio Ramos, him and Ramos had butted heads so many times. He's gone into a dressing room with Ramos.
No, I think Ramos has tried to GBH a few times on him, and if it wasn't a football pitch, he'd be in a cell, because I've seen a few where it's like, if I'd done that, I would get time, but we'll not get into that. But
but that's what I don't know how much of a thing that Messi would still be making of that, with Icardi. But it's one to watch, I suppose. But it's interesting. I just think if it's Icardi, Julian Draxler seems to have come back into a bit of form there as well.
I always thought he was a good player, also a decent player, good player. But no, see what I'd say. Just I know I don't want to dwell on this too long, and so you think 1-1, 3-1. I'm going to say, I think it'll be 1-1. Actually, I think City will probably, PSG will start quick, a bit like the last season. But I think when it comes to it, City will start to control a bit more of the game, because I just don't think PSG can keep up. They pressed them really high last year. It worked really well, and they should have scored more. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how Pochettino approaches it. I'd love for Messi to shine and PSG to win.
Ideally for Liverpool fans, we want PSG to blitz them, but not blitz them a lot. So they give City a chance to come back then just take them out.
Yeah.
So they just use up all their energy and they don't play well against us.
But it's going to be an interesting one as well. And just before we move on, I wanted to ask Keith, since he's here. Finners told me this formation, or someone told me this formation. I can't remember who it was, but it was good, and it was PSG. Now I think this might work. However, it's not easy to play a back five, but I don't think PSG are good enough in a back four. So it's a case of Kimpembe, Ramos, Marquinhos, Di Maria left wing back, Hakimi right wing back, and then either a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-3. Argentina kind of done it at times, but you can either have it like a 3-4-3 with Herrera and or Gini and Gana Gay and the front three, or if you want a kind of 1 and 2. But what do you think about that idea? Because I actually feel like PSG, I just think centre half wise in a 4 they don't work. But I say it's not easy to play a back 5.
Yeah, I suppose you could try that. I suppose Kimpembe can go to left back if you had to then switch it to a.
Who is their left back?
For? Cole, is it? Did they sign one, or they brought the young
fella? Yeah, he played against Leon.
Yeah, did they bring him in from Portugal?
Is it Gomez? Is his name Gomez? I might have got that wrong.
Could be something like that. Yeah.
He was okay. I thought he was a bit susceptible.
Was it Benfica?
Yeah, possibly him from Portugal somewhere.
He was okay. I wasn't too impressed. I feel like
it's only a young guy, but it's a position that they do sort of maybe need.
Nuno Mendes.
Yeah,
Nuno Mendes.
Yeah.
They've had Bernat there and Kurzawa, and they've never really nailed it down.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting, what they do. The 3-5-2, and I'm assuming Messi is in behind the 2, is he? He's playing in.
Yeah. There can be a variety of that, but I'd say that's probably what
you'd nearly have a Messi, Mbappe in front of him, Messi behind them, and then maybe Paredes and Wijnaldum in there doing all the leg work. It could work, but it'd be interesting to see. But the thing about PSG, Pochettino, while I have been critical of him, I don't know if he has a winning mentality. He does like pressing football, and if he gets them doing that press, I think he can put pressure on Man City. Do you know what I mean? I think he can put pressure on City tomorrow. If he can get them into their faces and put them out of a rhythm, because Guardiola and Man City, they sort of nearly mirror each other. They need things going their way to perform. And I think if you can put them off their stride, that's how you can get at them. Liverpool have done it in the past. They've hit them hard and hit them, you know what I mean? Hit them really fast and knock the stuffing out of them. And I think that's how you can get at Man City. But it'll be interesting to see what approach he takes.
No, it will be. I think it's going to be a very good game. I don't think it'll be now, but it will be now, because I've said that, but I don't think it will be. So yeah, just on that, and it was great chatting that, guys, and I'm actually really looking forward to the game now. But to move on and just kind of finish up, because I know we want to finish up soon. And thanks again for staying this long. What we would say is Champions League is really early, but I just want to go. I'll start with Ram. Who's your favourites for the Champions League, mate? Or one, or I can maybe give you one or two, but ideally one. Who do you think is going to win the Champions League?
Bayern Munich.
And why do you think that?
I can't see anyone past Bayern Munich. I think last season PSG were very, very lucky that they had a bunch of injuries. Like, it was literally the players that they signed all got injured, and Leroy Sané decided to be a one-man show and not pass it to Thomas Muller, and I got really pissed off when I think it was that last 90th minute open opportunity, Muller in the box, free. You can bank on him to score, and he didn't pass it to him. So I was really
still not let that go, Ram.
I've not let that go. Like, he really pissed me off that day.
That was like Harry Kane with Raheem Sterling against Croatia.
literally. But they signed some. They signed some very good players. Obviously, Sabitzer, Upamecano, and the benefit.
If you don't know, Ramz he's actually got a fan club for Sabitzer. He's actually got a fan club. He started it himself in Germany.
But the benefits with all this is that they've already got a superb squad. Like, striker-wise, Lewandowski, best in the world. Winger-wise, Gnabry, Koeman, Sane. And I think Musiala's come in and done a very good job. With all these signings, they have so many different options they can use. They could put Sabitzer in midfield with Goretzka and push Kimmich to right back, where he flourished. And I think right back is their problem position, if so to say. So I think depth-wise, quality-wise, and manager-wise, they're complete.
Don't think just because the Nagelsmann's maybe inexperience in the latter stages, I think he's a top manager. I'm not disputing it at all. You think that might have any effect on that at all, Ram?
You could say that, but it's also he took RB Leipzig to the semi-final.
Hansi Flick as well. Hansi Flick, to be fair, won the Champions League. So like, you got to be fair like that. That's a good point.
I think Nagelsmann and Bayern Munich are a match made in heaven, and
the he's a top coach, like very good.
The players are taken into him as well. So for me, Bayern Munich.
Fair enough. I actually remember. See, you know how you have memories of your own team. See his Hoffenheim team when they came to Anfield, and then we were up early, and then they just kept going. Like I've never seen a team like they just kept going. I think they're very much like it was like Brendan Rodgers is like 2.0. Like they're just it was like drummed into them. We just keep attacking, and I remember thinking. I just thought his teams were impressive. How he got Gnabry kind of maybe it wasn't just him who reinvented Gnabry's career, but I just thought he looked quite good at Hoffenheim, and obviously he went back to Bayern Munich. And
that Hoffenheim team, do you know where they are right now? They're about 16th.
Yeah,
they're not good. That team is not good. Like Nagelsmann pushed well above his weight. Hoffenheim were very, very bad before he joined. I think the only time they were actually good was when Firmino was there, which was a very, very long time ago. So for me, Nagelsmann's a top manager, and I think he has all the qualities and the facilities he has to be a Champions League winner as well.
That's a really, really good shout, mate. To be honest, can't argue much with that. What about yourself, Keith? Who's your Champions League favourites?
Yeah, I think it's very open this year. I think it's very open. I think it will all depend. As I say, if PSG can make a click, they'll be hard to stop. But when I was looking at the agenda here, I picked a team, and it was Bayern Munich as well. I just think Munich, they'll always be there or thereabouts, and they'll always be good. But I thought Hansi Flick was brilliant for them, and I think you can bring in a manager, and it can be the right or the wrong one. And bringing in Julian Nagelsmann is just. I think Ramz has just said it there. It's the match made in heaven. It's the perfect coach in at that club at that time to nearly build a dynasty. And I know, it's a very Americanized sort of term, build a dynasty. But, at the age he is, I think they're set up nicely. Now, I think a lot of that will depend on Robert Lewandowski staying fit, because one of the issues I've had with PSG in the past was that when you're missing it, you lose Neymar or Mbappe, you're bringing on Eric Choupo-Moting. And the same situation is for Bayern Munich, because
whoever his agent is, though, by the way, is very good at his job. I don't hate him. I actually think he's a decent striker. He's always overachieving moves.
Yeah.
One thing I could say on that, you could put Muller there and put Sabitzer in behind Muller.
Yeah, that's true. So, I actually like Muller as a forward. I would do that, but
he's not as technically, and he's technically never been a very good player. He's just effective, and that's why I love Thomas Muller. You don't have to be aesthetically amazing. You're just great at it.
Got that brain.
I didn't think he was very impressive for Germany in the Euros, though. I didn't think he was great at doing that because they didn't really have a striker. So I'm not sure that would work
as a stopgap. Just for like a couple of games.
Yeah.
To me, Muller's best when he's just kind of behind someone, like facilitating.
Yeah.
That's what I think he's great at. But you never know.
They have a lot of talent there. They have a lot of talent in that squad, and they've young players looking to break in. And I just think it'd be interesting to see, what they can do. Look, I would always pick, if you'd asked me this 4 years ago, 7 years ago, 11 years ago, 20 years ago, pick a team. Bayern would always be there or thereabouts in my thoughts, because there's just something about them as a club and German football as a whole. It's very, I know the old thing is it's efficient, ruthlessly efficient. There's just something about them that as a club, they're built to win. And I've slated Brendan Rodgers and I've slated Mauricio Pochettino as being sort of nearly bottle jobs. Pochettino was at a club as Spurs that weren't built to win as a club, historically as a club. Bayern Munich expect win. They've expectations from the bottom to the top. It's all about winning, and it's not about winning by chasing, throwing this and throwing that. They're a well-run club. They know what they want to do. And I just think the way the European clubs are at the moment, I think the Spanish clubs are in trouble this year. I think Atletico, very up and down. Real can be okay, but I think can be got at. And then the English clubs, I think it's between Bayern and the Italian clubs. I don't think it'll be there or thereabouts.
No.
I think it's, if PSG don't click, I think it's between Bayern and the English, any of the English clubs, any of them, any of the four
Yeah.
of them can.
I think Bayern and Liverpool, City, United, and Chelsea are far way better than everyone else. Like Juventus are currently 9th in Serie A.
Yeah.
Milan are good, but they're not there yet. Inter Milan, yeah, like they've got a really good culture, really good team, but they're not there yet. Give it about 2 or 3 seasons, they will be there.
I guess the way it works out though as well in the knockout stages will be interesting, because there is always a surprise package. I'm not saying they're going to win it, but they might knock someone out, so that plays a part as well.
Yeah, that's true as well.
So it's just a comment here, Antio. I can never pronounce it right, so I'll always just say Antio. Always great comments. Thoughts on Atletico being potential dark horses. Now, I know straight away you might think the form's not been great and Griezmann's not scored for them. However, I think Atletico will just cause you problems in knockout football. And I've got so much respect for Simeone. A lot of people don't like him.
I hate him.
I think he's the highest manager in the world, isn't he? Boy, you've laid a long way.
He's a what?
The highest paid manager in the world.
Is he?
By a mile.
Well, when you win 2 La Ligas against the monopoly in Spain, I think you probably deserve that.
Conroy. When Julian Nagelsmann knocked him out, you don't know how happy I was. I was so happy.
I don't know why you dislike him. He's a great manager. Like
I just don't like his style. I really don't. It's annoying.
I understand.
His job is not to make you feel good about football. His job's to win and win games and win leagues.
But Nagelsmann does both.
Well, Nagelsmann's not won a league yet, so
yeah, Nagelsmann's got the winning mentality without the medals. It's a tough one. It's a tough ask. But the thing with Atletico is, Atletico Madrid, I think the last couple of years this has been happening in that they've been making sort of strange transfers, and he's been trying to shoehorn players in and out of the team, and he eventually finds the defensive formation that suits him, and they become an absolute nightmare to play against. And that will happen again this season. But I just don't know if they'll have enough to beat the English teams this year. I don't think they will. And I think Bayern on that day could beat them as well. So I think they'll be the best of the Spanish teams. But
you might find that they'll knock out someone. I think they might have a surprise knockout.
That's it. Yeah, they could take someone big out.
Yeah, I think what happened last year? Did they beat someone and they got put out by Chelsea, didn't they? But who did they knock out the previous round?
They didn't.
They didn't. I'm getting mixed up. But I always feel that Atletico in the knockout stages have always got a chance to knock one of the big guns out. So that's why I always think when we got them, let's be honest, we were a bit nervous because they are good at just upsetting the apple cart. So good shout though, Antio. It's really good. But so on that, so Bayern, and down to me.
What about you?
I don't know, to be honest. The Bayern shout's really good. I don't think Chelsea will now, and that might change. I don't want to say this because I think Tuchel's. I know Gav loves him. Gav loves him, Keith.
Loves him, yeah.
But I do feel like he is very, very good. I'm not disputing that. As someone said, to retain it 2 years in a row is really difficult. I just feel like the way it's going to work, there'll be a tie that I just can't see them getting to the final. Or if they get to the final, quite possibly. I just don't think they'll get there. I could be completely proved wrong.
I think if Tuchel gets Bayern Munich, I think he might have PTSD of his time at Dortmund. I really do.
But ironically, people would say I'd looked into the CPS when he was at PSG and he got to the final and he lost to Bayern. I think Tuchel's record at PSG was ridiculous. Like he's got the best record for like wins or points per game and stuff. So it's like I've actually looked a bit more into his PSG career, and I think maybe that's looked at getting to a final. I'm not saying that's a success, but it's definitely more successful than what PSG had in the past. So he obviously done something right there. And then he went to Chelsea, who have a team who've not got as many superstars, but great players who can play in a system. And he's literally won the Champions League. I think he'll do well. Just don't think Chelsea win it. I don't know why I'm saying this, to be honest. I've just got a feeling, probably be wrong, but I think City, the way they play, will always get to. They've got to the final. I think they'll get to the semis, and I just feel like I'm kind of in my heart. I'm saying, say Liverpool, Conroy. Just say Liverpool.
I wouldn't be surprised. I fancy us. I really do.
I think Liverpool have got a chance, but I have to kind of hang fire on what happens with the
you
players
need
available.
the luck. You need
Yeah.
the draw, and you need things to go your way for Liverpool to get there. And that's not disparaging against Liverpool. That's for them to have a league run and a Champions League run. And I know we've done 96 points or 97 points when we won. We won the Champions League.
Thank God we won the Champions League. Thank God.
But I think
you never hear
that,
the end of that, Keith Ram. You never hear the end of it. You actually seen the fans getting a draft ready. Well, it's 3-0 to Barcelona. Like, here we go. 97, never won the league. And now they never say it because we won the Champions League and they won it the year later. But,
of course.
But I think I'm going to say City now, and it's not because of what they've done this season. I'm not even saying that. I just think they'll get to there, and I think eventually Guardiola will probably not overthink it. However,
that's the problem. That's the problem, right?
Mate,
there.
Just don't invite him in the game, Keith.
Yeah.
Just let
I love Guardiola. I think Guardiola's excellent. I think he's a genius, but I think he overthinks these things. I think he's become obsessed with the Champions League.
You're not getting in the stadium. Just ban him from the stadium. Just play the same formation he played. The players will probably win the game, but
the game's on Tuesday. Tell him it's on Wednesday.
He stands up. No one's there. But I feel like I don't realise out at all. It just a few things have to go away more in the sense of. It's not going to be like last season injury-wise, but like Thiago being out, looks like he's out for quite a while. It's like that to kind of not happen, to fall in line. Everyone gets injuries, but it does feel when someone's getting a bit of consistency right now, it's like, they get an injury because Thiago was looking very good.
But you need, especially with Champions League, you need those Gerrard moments.
But the fans being back 100% helps us. 100%.
That's the key for us. Yeah, definitely.
But tomorrow's going to be interesting against Porto as well because obviously we've got a good record there, but a little bit different the Porto team, so that'll be interesting. But listen, guys, just to finish off a few comments, if that's okay. If there's anything else you want to add first?
No, go ahead. We've covered a lot.
No, I appreciate the time, guys. I just wanted a good football chat, and it was nice because we're all Liverpool fans, but sometimes it's good to get a break from talking about because you can only say so much. And I love being on the Daytrippers as well, but I think even Gav enjoys. You get and thanks for coming, Keith. You get to go and chat about just the general football stuff, which is really good.
I know it's good to do it when it's not your own comfort zone. Do you know what I mean? Like we're talking the same sort of stuff, but it's just away from our platform. And a lot of the names in the chat are the names that'll be on the Daytrippers as well. So it's familiar
you both informed me. You both informed me with the German correspondent knowledge of Ram and then just the international knowledge of Keith. So I've enjoyed it. It's been a lesson for me. But just quickly, this comment was really good earlier. I want to say how beautiful was Emi Martinez trolling two of the most egotistical pillocks and one false swoop. Ronaldo and Bruno were both rattled. He's topped his antics versus Colombia. It's so funny because that's the first thing I thought of when he done the dance because I watched that penalty shootout and I actually thought, mate, this is going to go wrong. And he ended up saving both the penalties or three of the penalties, I think.
He's got that. Like I remember, I think it was a Community Shield. I think he was talking a load of crap towards Curtis Jones. Like Curtis Jones gave him a mouthful saying to tell him to shut up. And I like it when a player does. I think the best example is I think it was Virgil van Dijk and it was Conte trying to go past him and Virgil was like LeBron James. I gave him the look and I started smiling. I'm saying, "You're not getting past me. I'm the best." And I just love it when a player does that. I really do. It's just like I like that impervious kind of feel towards them, and it makes them better. No,
it's interesting. But just quickly, guys, Jamie's asking thoughts on no Trent tomorrow. So, Keith, what's your thoughts on that?
I don't know the reason. Does anyone know the reason that you trained and Klopp said no injuries? So
I think he's not 100%. I think he's saving him for City.
Is that if he's
ill, but then
because he was terrible. I thought he was brutal the other day. I have to say against Brentford, I thought he was awful. I think he sets a high bar, but I just thought he was poor the other day. So I don't know if he's carrying an illness or something.
I mean, 3v1. I mean, I'm a bit. I feel sympathetic because if I was there and I was a striker, I'd be like, Jordan, Joel, help him out because there's 3 men on him and you can't do. It's like it's not fair. Just help him out, and no one helped him. And I
just find at the moment that he's. I don't know what it is. On the ball, he's excellent. I just think his fitness doesn't look great. And I know that sounds weird because he's quite fit, but I don't know if he's still suffering with COVID or whatever. But there's something with him that he looks like he's getting exposed. Even against Milan, I thought they exposed him. Teams are looking at him to get in behind him. And maybe I'm overthinking it. But with him not playing there, I'd imagine it's going to be Milner. But then midfield options aren't exactly, we're not exactly flying in midfield. Now I think Naby is back training. It could be Gomez in at right back. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what he does because Luis Diaz, so I'd imagine, is going to play for Porto on the left wing, and
Luis Diaz is very good,
very fast as well.
He's really good.
He was good in the Copa. He was in the Copa America, wasn't he? For Colombia,
he was.
He's good. Was it Ecuador? Colombia.
Colombia. Colombia.
Yeah. This is where I was like, we need to sign Matty Cash. Because imagine if we had someone like a Matty Cash.
Gomez has got the pace, to be fair. Gomez has got the pace.
Yeah, he does.
He just won't give you any attacking.
Yeah, but I'm happy with that.
Every bit of attacking threat. And look,
Milner's the best balanced one we've got, but I think it might be Gomez tomorrow.
Yeah, because I think I could see a midfield of Milner, Fabinho, and Henderson. Away in the Champions, maybe he will against Porto. He could do because I thought Curtis was excellent the other day, but I don't know. I think he might go for that experience of Milner in there. It'll be interesting to see what he does.
Yeah, well, just to take this comment quickly, folks. Just got a few last ones and we'll finish up. Young lads asking Conroy thoughts on Callum McGregor. I think he's good enough for the PL. To be fair, mate, he is actually quite good. He's probably not been. He wasn't great, especially for Scotland. He's kind of recent run of form and probably in the SPFL as well because Gerrard and Rangers kind of just dominated the league and Celtic. To be fair, a lot happened and he wasn't particularly his best form. I think he is good enough. He is a good player, but he's just signed a 5-year deal, so I can't see him coming anytime soon. Anything you guys want to add on McGregor? I don't know if he's
like McGregor. I like him as a player, but what age is he? He must be near 30, is he?
He's not that old yet. I forget. I think he's maybe 26, 27. He might be 28, but he's just signed a 5-year. So I feel like that shows you.
The ship has sailed.
He's Celtic captain now as well. He's replaced Scott Brown. So
he reminds me of another Scottish player that was quite good. Like when I was younger, I think his name was Gary Mackay-Steven. I think Conroy, do you remember him?
Yeah, Gary Mackay-Steven still playing. He went to he played for New York FC, and he was in the story. He played for Aberdeen, and he fell in a river and fell down the river.
Yeah,
that was in the papers and everything. He's got an interview in Open Goal, but Gary Mackay-Steven plays for Hearts in Scotland.
He played for Liverpool as a youngster, was he not?
Yeah, he did because his interview he talks about that. But to be fair, Ram, McGregor's definitely more just a centre mid now. I think in times he used to be more like in different spots, but he's predominantly Scott Brown leaving. That's type of his role. Him being the captaincy now, I actually think he's not declined, but he's definitely not been in the best form. He used to be in much better form. But that's maybe because of what's happening with Celtic at the moment and a bit of a transition out in the way Postecoglou. So
I thought he reminds me of that mold of like very, very good technically, but I think just physically, I just don't think he'll be able to cope.
But I don't know I think if you're smart enough, that doesn't matter. I mean, like David Silva's not exactly like ripped, is he? He's just simple.
Yeah,
but if you look at other Scottish players like
look
John
at Billy
McGuinness,
Gilmore's done
Stuart
great.
Armstrong has done well. Do you
Stuart
know what I mean?
Armstrong's very intelligent, Keith.
And that type of player, that smart sort of he could be that smart sort of player. He'd be an interesting signing for a team, like a Southampton or.
I thought Leicester. I thought that was on the cards. Leicester was on the cards at one point. No, they were apparently in for him last summer. But he never done it.
Rogers walking with him, I suppose. Yeah, be like that sort of ilk of a team might be interesting.
He does rate him very highly. And to be fair to him, before last night, he was in very good form. And to be fair, he scored at the Euros, so I mean,
Yeah,
you
he
can't
did.
take that away from him.
Yeah.
That's his right foot as well. He's left-footed, so fair. I'm left-footed, so that was the most right-footed shot you ever seen. Just smash it and hope for the best. But yeah, folks, there's a few other comments, but I don't want to hold you up too much because it's been outstanding. A few were asking about maybe Bradley or Morton playing tomorrow. That was Antio again. I can't see that happening myself.
No.
I don't want to put Bradley there again.
Yeah.
I think Bradley had glimpses against Norwich, but I don't want him in that situation again. He's too young and too inexperienced.
Yeah. Remember we had to play Brad Smith against Leicester a few years ago, and he got against Chelsea, sorry, and he got absolutely roasted, and the young fella just never really recovered from it. You know, you can put them in too soon if they're not ready. If they're a good player and they're a little bit off and they have a bad day, but you know they get over it. I don't know if Bradley is at that stage yet. I think it's too early to put him into a Champions League.
Norwich reserves are a different kettle of fish then.
Yeah.
And Demo is that's maybe not the worst shout. I can't see it happening, but I actually think Taki looks quite confident. But tomorrow I think it'll be the standard. Maybe Firmino tomorrow.
Maybe Origi might come in.
Possibly that in Milan lineup was so outside the box. Like I don't know. Jurgen Klopp actually might play the reserves tomorrow. They might. Trent's not on the plane because no one's on the plane from the first team. Maybe that's why. But listen. Thanks very much, Ram, Keith, and Finners for earlier. I really appreciate you coming on. I loved that chat. I thought it was really good. And any time again, any topics you want, we'll get a video out and have a chat about it. And it's really enjoyed that. Keith, where can they find you? If not, they should probably know you're at Daytrippers because you're always on there and you have some great points. But I don't know if there's anywhere else social media.
No, just the LFC Daytrippers. I have a Twitter handle up there, but I don't have Twitter anymore, so I wouldn't go checking on that. That's just my default on StreamYard. The LFC Daytrippers. We do a lot of shows, and Conroy, you're involved in a lot of them now as well. You'll always find us every night nearly, except for Saturdays. There's something going out on the channel, so yeah, we'll be over there Sunday night usually, sometimes on a Wednesday. But yeah, it's good content. Anybody that puts out, I'm a big fan of fan media, so fair play to Conroy for doing this yourself as well, and to Ram as well. You know, just for getting out there and having a go at it, because I'm not an expert and I don't claim to be an expert. I don't claim to know more than any of you two lads or Finners or anyone in the chat. Just enjoy talking about football. And, you know, when you hear people talking about football that enjoy talking about football, it's better than listening to some pundits on the TV. Not that I'm putting us in the category of Monday Night Football, but you hear some pundits that talk about football and sound like they don't enjoy football, and it can be very off-putting. So I enjoy talking with lads that enjoy football. So this is why I like doing this and like coming on shows like yours, like tonight.
No, thanks, mate. That's exactly how I feel as well. It's completely couldn't put that any better. It feels like they're getting paid $100,000 a year, and it's like maybe inform me or look like you actually enjoy what you're doing, and have not fell into it after ending your career. But we'll not get into that. But completely agree, mate. And it's a whole new world, which YouTube, it's just brilliant. So I'm sure you all have, but Daytrippers every night. They had the forum on tonight. They've got Wednesday, we've got midweek fix.
Midweek fix Wednesday. There's a pre-game, post-game tomorrow with the Porto show. Are you on that as well?
I'm on that. I own too. I think I've done 7 days. I think I've done 5 shows this week. But because Daz is like getting his Sky fitted.
That's
fitted anyway. So I've got that, and then we've got a Carnage Thursdays and Sports Unplugged, which is Avi's show. Very good. Very good for learning about sports you maybe don't necessarily know about. Very, very interesting. Ram,
that sounds frightening.
Yeah, it's very good. Where can they find you? Apart from obviously the Football Terrorist, very, very popular man on there.
Yeah, other than the Football Terrorist, you can just follow my Twitter, LRB Ramz, and then that's pretty much it, really.
No, that's great, mate. It's
Top
superb.
Man.
But listen, guys, much appreciated, and thanks again, and thanks to all the comments. Superb as usual, and yeah, brilliant. I'll have to think another agenda for another show next week, but I'll get that out soon as. But again, guys, welcome to the channel anytime, and thanks very much for that. So, from us to everyone, cheers, and everyone, have a good night. Take care. Bye-bye.